The Unplayable Podcast is proudly presented by Qantas, the official podcast partner and the official airline partner of Cricket Australia. Once again this season, Qantas is proud to be flying Australia's cricketers as they take on the world. Good evening, welcome to the Unplayable Podcast. A great day for Australia here at the Adelaide Oval in the third NRMA Insurance Test match. They lead England by 158 runs. The English only have 2 wickets in hand. We saw a great bowling display from the Australians today, and they rightfully have the stronger position in this game, Louis.
It might be the best bowling performance I've seen from this Australian attack in this current iteration of it. We know there's been a few different members of them over the journey, but in what were just horrific bowling conditions, it must be said. I mean, I think it was 41, 42 on the mercury that we could kind of see, but then the media manager I noticed before said that their reading was 47 degrees. So that kind of cauldron-like atmosphere that a stadium creates made it even hotter out there, and they barely bowled a bad ball all day. It was relentless. It was on probably the flattest pitch of the series, a slow wicket. An England side that has been demanded to fight by their captain and fight like a dog. Well, we didn't see a whole lot of it apart from the skipper himself. But you can understand it when a bowling attack is that good.
Definitely, yeah. Pat Cummins and Nathan Lyon both came in and they both made early inroads into this England 11. That was after Mitch Starc got to his second 50 in a row and got Australia's total up to 371. Probably not a heap to talk about there other than Jofra Archer getting a 5-wicket haul, which I thought was pretty well deserved in the end.
Yeah, well, I mean, subsequently we saw a bit of footage of Archer and Stokes kind of having a bit of a barmy with each other, which I saw a little bit at the time, but I didn't think it was that bad. But then the television replays later on in the day conveniently played when England had kind of collapsed, made it look a lot worse. I don't know if that was really the case. I mean, these things do happen. You have disagreements on the field and you settle it pretty quickly. I wouldn't read heaps into it, but there was that. But then there's also the fact that I think we kind of felt like Australia were unders. Last night going in at what was about 325. Yep. They've added nearly 50 to get to 371, but it felt like, if you didn't have a 4 in front of that first innings total, you'd left yourself vulnerable to a team who can score really quickly. It wasn't the case. No,
I mean, I was having a look at the previous day matches here in Adelaide and the first innings scores. This is only the third day match here in the last decade, but West Indies scored 188 in 23-24, and then India, when they won in 2018-19, scored only 250. So it's not as if there have been really big totals on the opening day here for the red ball cricket, but maybe we were all saying maybe Australia are under, but maybe, and Ben Stokes' reaction showed it, maybe they thought they were right on par.
I still think Australia underachieved with the bat, and we've said it a few times on this podcast, like this Australian group, their batting team just does enough, and then their bowling attack goes to work. Gee, they were incredible today, and you think half of the frontline bowlers in Lyon and Pat Cummins, bowled 2 overs between them in the series coming into this game. Pat Cummins hadn't played a test in 5 months. They were just remarkable. They were so good. Boland will probably get none of the plaudits today, but I thought he was, just every bit as good as he was in Brisbane. Nathan Lyon comes in and takes 2 wickets in his first over, and Pat, like that, we talk so much about that extra bounce that he gets out of nowhere. That just kind of leaps on batters and gets outside edges. Well, that was on display very, very early as well.
There's been a lot of criticism so far this series for England's batting and the shots that they've been getting out on. Well, there weren't too many of those today because they were out to a lot of great deliveries. Zach Crawley, Ben Duckett, maybe the Ollie Pope one was a bit of a loss of concentration, but Joe Root and Harry Brook all fell to really good deliveries. Close to unplayable, really. Maybe Ben Duckett played a little bit outside his line, but I mean the ones from Cummins who had Alex Carey in the game again with another 5 catches. Not much you can really do about those.
Yeah, well, it is an interesting one. Yeah, like you did feel that England played a little bit differently. I mean, Harry Brook scored at a good clip. Ben Duckett scored at a good clip. Yeah, they all. You're right. I reckon they did all get undone by very good deliveries. I mean, that Crawley one, geez, like he did well to edge that, and there wasn't much more he could have done. Look, Duckett angled blade against a right arm off spinner from around the wicket. Could he have kind of covered that? Like you'd probably rather nick that or go out LBW than get bowled by it and beaten on your outside edge and then to get hit off stump. Joe Root pushing at one. Was he thinking about the bouncer that had admittedly hit for 4 2 balls earlier, but then it was just a tentative step forward. I reckon he would have been disappointed in his footwork. There is going to be accusations of mixed messages from this England camp. Like, this whole Bazball movement has been based on aggression. The assistant coach, Marcus Trescothic, the batting coach, said that basically their whole ethos is about taking putting pressure back on the bowlers, I think is his word, as a starting point. And then if you need to absorb pressure, that's the giving of pressure, the putting on of pressure is the default option, and then anything else is a divergence from that. Well, the way Stokes has been talking about and showing fight, well, like I think that's more about absorbing pressure. Like, that to me, showing fight isn't getting caught at long off potentially. Trying to hit a guy out of the attack. And in the past, they've kind of said, well, that's fine. If guys get out doing that, well, what's the difference between that and playing a forward defence and getting out? So, potentially, could they have? Was this a day for Bazball? Was this? Okay, Australia's bowlers are on top. Cummins is bowling a dream. Stark, we know how good he is. Was it the day to attack them off their lengths? They didn't pursue that option, and Stokes was kind of really the only one who was able to follow the plan that it looked like they'd set today.
Yeah, and maybe that was the initial plan. I mean, they came out pretty aggressively, as they always do. Crawley and Duckett hit 5 4s, but then they lost 3 for 5 and were just crippled really immediately, so they had to sort of reevaluate perhaps. I want to get your take on Pat Cummins, obviously his return. He bowled 5 spells today, 3 of them were only 2 overs each. Obviously he's trying to ease himself back into the game, but he still managed to have an impact even with these really short spells. It's
amazing to think that he has not bowled a ball in a cricket game since July. An interesting process that he's gone through to get here. So he had the back scan during that Jamaica test in July. Didn't look great. Came back to Australia 4 weeks later. Scan looked even worse. 4 months, I think it was, 16 weeks off bowling completely. And if this was a normal kind of, if this was anything other than an Ashes, he's probably resting the whole summer trying to get it right. But they fast track his recovery. He manages to basically look fully fit for that Perth test, but they just keep him on ice for those next 2. They go pretty close to playing him in Brisbane under an overs restriction, but they, having won the first test and then obviously winning the second test, they were just in the perfect position to unleash him today. And he hadn't missed a beat. Like, there has been signs of rust before when he's come off a long layoff. I think of the Perth test last summer against India. He was, bowled a lot of full balls in that game. Australia lost the game. The World Test Championship final in 2023, he bowled 10 no balls. Both of those games were coming off not a lot of first-class cricket, if any first-class cricket leading into those matches. So, we were all kind of watching him. 40-degree heat, as hard as it's going to get. He was spectacular today, I thought. We touched on the Crawley dismissal. The Joe Root ball was also, just a peach that nipped away just a little bit, and then amid some DRS kind of drama late in the day, he gets Jamie Smith. I feel like I'm already sick of talking about the DRS, but I feel like we probably do have to touch on it.
We better wade into it just a little bit. Pat Cummins, I'll just touch on his figures there. 3 for 54 from 14 overs today, and the 12th time he's dismissed Joe Root across all Test cricket. So we know that they've both played a lot of Tests against each other, but he certainly got the wood over the star England batter. That DRS stuff, okay, we had the controversy yesterday with Alex Carey. He basically admitted that he hit that ball and then the frames didn't line up. Today, they said that they had recalibrated it. England got their review back that they lost yesterday.
Did the operators actually say that they'd recalibrated? Is that kind of what you'd heard? Because I saw they admitted it was faulty yesterday. I wasn't sure if they said that they'd been able to...
No, that wasn't part of the statement, but if you're going to say that it was wrong, then you're not
going
to...
you probably wouldn't... you wouldn't admit it was wrong at all if you knew that you couldn't fix it, I suppose.
Yeah, so...
and the other bit, sorry, just to add there, was that Brendan McCullum had a meeting with the match referee last night, complaining essentially, and the review got reinstated that they'd lost on the Alex Carey one on 72 that cost him about 34 runs, maybe more if you include runs scored at the other end. So that was significant in a sense as well, that there was an admission of fault there.
Yeah, and the England team had sort of already been aggrieved that there were a couple maybe earlier in the series that they thought didn't quite line up. And so then today when Jamie Smith was hit on the helmet by Pat Cummins. The third umpire said he was hit on the helmet, but replays sort of were a bit inconclusive about what it actually hit, whether it was glove or helmet. Ball ballooned to Khawaja, probably didn't carry to him. So there was all this sort of controversy going on. And then the following over...
On that, just before we go to the next one, what was your opinion on that? Because I didn't watch with any of the commentary.
Yeah.
I was kind of watching just the images on silent.
Yeah, so it looked like to me a glove because when the umpire then asked Smith to get a concussion test, Ben Stokes looked completely confused and as if to say, why would he need a concussion test? Because it was off the
Smith
glove.
is going, shut up.
So yeah, there was all that sort of stuff.
Right. But that was confusing again because the pictures maybe looked like they didn't marry up with the audio, the RTS that we're seeing.
Yes, there was just a murmur at best and no sort of spike that you might expect if it brushes a glove or something like that. So
and then maybe Khawaja didn't take the catch anyway.
Well, that's the most likely situation.
Right, yeah.
Because I think the third umpire was heard saying, it's bounced, before he'd even got to that point. So that was the first one. Cummins then came back the following over, bowled another sort of short of a length ball. Smith has tried to pull it. He's missed it, supposedly, and then Carey's taken the catch. A very half-hearted appeal from Cummins, but umpire Menon gives it out. They go upstairs, and Jamie Smith is ready to review.
Yeah.
He's making the signal, but he can't review if it's an umpire review for court, just checking if it was a legitimate catch. So, there's more controversy about the order of operation of these DRS reviews.
It looked like both sides were ready to review the decision if it went against
regardless,
them. And I felt, we had a chat about this, and we should make this clear that I really feel like the umpires... no one should be criticising the umpires in this, least of all the on-field umpires, because Nitin Menon, the guy who was at the end for Pat Cummins on both of these decisions, he can't make a soft signal, right?
That's right.
That's been that was eradicated 2 years ago, and that kind of gave... I mean, I felt like that was an important part. I know why they scrapped it, but for the viewers, and maybe even for the players on the ground... It was kind of it showed what the decision was, like what the umpire thought, whether it was out or not. We had a discussion earlier in the day, and you pointed out that he basically gave both of those out.
Yeah.
But the Aussie team are kind of going, hang on, like that's out. And presumably Menon is saying to them, I've given it out. I'm just not giving the soft signal. I don't want to influence Chris Gaffney, who's doing television replay.
Yeah, and Menon doesn't call to check the catch if he's not giving it out in the first place. So
That's right.
If he's giving it not out, then the Australians have a decision to make whether they want to review it.
Yeah, that's right. And that's the other really confusing bit. I mean, if you're not a cricket fan, you're surely not listening to this podcast at this point anymore.
And you've zoned out by now.
Yeah, but if you are a cricket fan, these kind of the minutiae matters, right? Neither team reviewed these decisions because Menon, in both instances, was checking whether it was a clean catch and was effectively saying, yes, I think the batter has hit it. In the first instance, Gaffney, the television umpire, then said, no, he hasn't hit. Well, I don't think he's hit it. And then in the second instance, he goes, well, I do think he has hit it. And that was didn't pass near the helmet. I think that was probably the right decision. There was a spike around the time the ball passed the bat. It didn't marry up perfectly, I've got to say. Yeah. But it kind of looked like it kind of brushed the toe of the bat on the way through. I don't know what else that could have been. Often you watch the batter for their reaction to see whether that is a tell as to what has happened. But I think Smith was just going to review anything because they've obviously had a chat and just gone, well, it's an absolute lottery with the RTS at the moment. It's not marrying up, even though they've tried to. It sounds like they've tried to recalibrate it, but I don't think they've successfully done so. If it's not marrying up perfectly, then
that's a good point. And Smith had that scenario in Perth where he was given out. And he started to walk before he reviewed.
That's right.
And then he was upset that he was given out even though he was walking. So
he's surely been given acting lessons between Test 1 and Test 3. But look, you can understand. I mean, Mitchell Starc had some strong words to say into the stump microphone. He basically said Snicko's, what was the exact quote? It
needs to be sacked.
Needs to be sacked, yep. I mean, Snicko isn't a human being. It's a piece of technology. It does sound, I haven't gone deep into the weeds with this stuff, but it does sound like there is a more expensive version of this technology that is available to broadcasters that hasn't been taken up, and I believe it hasn't been taken up for tests in Australia before. Weirdly enough, the onus actually falls on the broadcasters. And I believe Trent Copeland on Channel 7 was kind of talking about this and making a fair point, although there is an element of self-interest in this that, the bosses at Channel 7 and Fox would be saying, well, let's put it on the ICC to actually pay for this technology. And they probably have a point. If they're going to have this stuff, let's be fair dinkum about it and let's get the best technology available because what we're using currently isn't working.
Yeah, and you want it to be fair and even and uniform across the board, ideally in all test matches, don't you? So that would be the way to do that.
Yeah, that's right. And look, the other thing is, like, Jamie Smith walks off the ground like he's the most unlucky bloke in the world. Like, mate, they just set the most obvious short ball trap to you. You had, literally 3 blokes, one guy just in front of square on the leg side, one guy behind, and then another guy at deep mid-wicket, and he's still trying to, take him on and hit 6. Yes, he hit a couple of 6s, but you're just going to get out if you keep trying that on a slow pitch. And, even if the other one wasn't out, even if there was some doubt over this one, he was playing with fire. He's averaging 15 for the series. I don't reckon he can really say it's down to technology.
Lou, I want to get to the Liquorland cheers to that moment, and we've got a good one today because Harry Brook was racing along at 45 off 63 today. He hit a beautiful 6 over the offside of Scott Boland, reminiscent of that one we saw in Perth. And then Cameron Green was throwing the ball just as Harry Brook and Ben Stokes had sort of put together a 50-run stand. They were forging a comeback, and Cameron Green, with his third ball, manages to bowl an absolute cracker. Let's be fair, it was right on the money. He'd started with a couple of short of a length deliveries. He had 2 men back for the pull hook shot just in case it was extra short, and maybe that played on Brook's mind just a little bit. Brook was sort of caught on the crease a bit, caught behind, and Cameron Green with a real show of emotion. We don't see a lot of emotion from the big fella, but it was a big jump and a big fist pump and a big celebration from him.
Yeah, it would have been a bit in that, I reckon. And you think back to his last 2 batting innings, like in Brisbane, he got out in that ugly way, trying to back away and hit cast through the offside. And then on day 1 of this test, he's gotten out second ball, offering a pretty limp catch in the first over after lunch. So, he's probably really feeling a little bit his place in the team was questioned, I saw from some of the reports yesterday. So, there's a bit of emotion there. But, the beauty with a player like him is if you fail with the bat, you've got a massive chance with the ball. He got the ball pretty late, I thought. I thought there might be some kind of injury concern over him because I reckon it was probably about the
37th over.
There you go, 37th over before he got to go. And on a hot day, you would have thought Pat would have been going to everyone and cycling through him pretty early. But so he's got a slightly softer ball, and it was just an absolute cracker. Like, Brook just looked at it and just gone, hang on, I've gotten through Stark, I got through Boland, I got through Cummins, negotiated Lyon. It hit a cracking shot off Boland an over or 2 before that over cover for 6. He's just starting to hit his straps, and then we'll just throw the ball to the 6'7" all-rounder guy who hasn't bowled yet. He bowls 145 clicks as well. And see you later. I think that's why I keep saying today was one of the best bowling efforts I've seen.
Yeah, and Brooks' reaction certainly said a lot, didn't it? He just sort of twirled the bat on his hand and stared at the pitch and thought, what more can I do, sort of thing. So Scott Boland, he had a great day, especially that final spell in that third session. 5 overs, 4 maidens, 2 for 1 in oppressive heat, it must be said. Nathan Lyon said it was up there with the hottest conditions he's ever played in and compared it to the subcontinent, and he's played over 100 test matches and played in some really draining days. So a lot of credit has to go to the Victorian quick there. He's had a lot of critics coming to the series. A lot of English journos were saying that the Bazballs will take care of him as they did in 2023. But so far this series, he's got 9 wickets at an average of 28, and only Jofra Archer has a better economy rate so far in the series. So it's a big tick for Scott Boland.
He's been incredible. It would have been a discussion, I reckon, over whether they pick him or Nisa for this test. We know the MCG's coming up, and you'd be a brave selection panel to leave him out there, but it might not matter if Australia can wrap things up here. Worth dwelling on Nathan Lyon a little bit today as well. Goes past Glenn McGrath. He was only level with Glenn McGrath for a couple of balls before he got his second wicket in that over. McGrath looked like he lifted the chair above his head in
that was a great reaction.
Celebration, yeah. And now I'd ask you, Josh, he's only got Warne in front of him in terms of Australians. He's 5'6", about 150 or less than 150 away from Warnie's 708. Any chance, you reckon?
We can never write him off, especially because he keeps talking about making the Ashes and the Border Gavaskar Trophy in 2027, doesn't he? And, he's looking as fit as he ever has. He rarely gets injured. He had that calf strain, of course, at the Ashes. But, he's just so durable. He's so consistent. And he was able to come in today and impact straight away, as if he'd been bowling the whole series when he'd only had 2 overs way back in Perth. So you'd be a brave man to write him off, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Well, and, I know it's only, not only off spin, but it's people will say, spin doesn't take quite as much out of you, but, it puts a lot of strain on your shoulder, and he's now 30, he's about to turn 39, I reckon, the next few months. He's certainly 38.
Yeah.
It was Aussie Quadra's 39th birthday today out of...
Happy birthday, Usman.
Yeah, out of interest. So, that he's getting older and older, and there's going to be question marks over... whether he's putting as many revs on the balls as he used to. He's been left out of 2 of the last 3 tests. So, he had a point to prove, I reckon, and he proved it today.
He'll have a big say as well in this 4th innings of this match as well. You would imagine there's already been a bit of turn that we've seen, so that'll continue to increase as the match progresses. Should we finish with the BBL Grid Game?
Well, the only other thing I was going to say was I just reckon we should give Jofra Archer a bit more love.
Sure.
We did it yesterday. He ended up taking 5 for today. Really deserved 5 for. Came despite getting that bait from Ben Stokes. But then, after all that, he's the one at the end of the day, 30 not out, standing firm with his skipper. He scored a lot more runs than... He scored more runs than all of his top order bar Brook and Stokes obviously as well. So that showed a lot of ticker, I reckon, with ball and bat. He came under question, in Brisbane for only cranking it up when it wasn't on the line. Well, this game's on the line for that team, and he showed a bit. So I just really rate Jofra. How he's responded in this test so far. And
Stokes too. He was hit on the helmet in the 2nd session. He was cramping a lot during that 3rd session. I know he's put the baseball away, but a lot of credit has to go to him for staying out there for 150 balls, 3 or 4 hours. He was out there in really tough conditions. He was struggling. He had the towel on his head at the 2 drinks breaks per session, which we had. He was lying down. He was doing stretches. He was popping pills. He was doing all sorts of things. And he's going to be there tomorrow. We know what he's capable of. We've seen him dig in against Australia before. Is there something else to come from Ben Stokes in this series? Yeah, no, that'll be an interesting watch tomorrow. Now, both of them would be good BBL Grid answers, Josh, because if you had a square that was either Melbourne Renegades or Hobart Hurricanes players, and then another square that was international players. Yeah, that's true. You could use those 2 for one of them. I was on the Melbourne Renegades supplementary list, funnily enough, when Ben Stokes played for the Renegades. Yeah, I remember bowling to him in the nets. I should ask him if he, I can almost guarantee he wouldn't remember that. They'd be good answers in your grid game. That's my attempt at a segue, that's
Josh.
A perfect
did
segue.
You like it?
Thank you. That was great. Well, my best score today came from the Hilton Cartwright teammate on one line, and then on the other line I had BBL debut after BBL 10. So
BBL 10
in the last 5 seasons.
What are we up to now? BBL
16.
So so almost post-pandemic.
Yeah, post-pandemic. Yep.
Hilton Cartwright teammate.
Yeah.
Post-pandemic.
Yes.
He's played for the Stars and the Scorchers.
Yeah, just Stars in that time frame. So.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah.
Just Stars. So you want a unique Melbourne Stars teammate of Hilton Cartwright, Liam Bowe.
That would have been pretty good.
Did he play in the last 6 seasons?
Not sure when he debuted. I went for one of the COVID top-up players, if you remember that little period.
Yeah.
Charlie Wakeham made
done.
his Stars debut, 0.3%, so I'll take that one.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I might have gone, wouldn't have been as rare, but Tom Rogers, he's kind of kicked on, I reckon, now. He's more permanent in that Stars side. Yeah. No, Charlie Wakeham, I don't reckon I could beat that in terms of the rarity. But I'm sure some of our listeners are probably screaming some obscure Melbourne Stars Big Bash names into their phones. What are they listening to? Into their earphones, yeah. Get onto the Big Bash app and play the Grid Game. Lou, a great day for Australia here. Can they continue to push forward the advantage on day 3? You'll find out on the Unplayable Podcast.